What's up, troopers? We're here for another episode of Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Evan, that's Mike over there. We have an exciting episode today. It's going to be...
I don't know about how exciting it is.
It's already started. You're very close to fulfilling one of my predictions already. Mike and I are going to follow up the CIS tier list that we did last week with the GAR tier list. We're doing that this week. So that's going to be interesting. Mike is definitely a GAR player. I used to identify as a Republic player. In my current set, like, which I think goes back for the last, what is it? Is it calendar year, a year and a half in Longshanks in terms of like what it displays on by default?
I think it's just a year.
Yeah. So in the last calendar year, Republic is actually my lowest win percentage. Out of all four.
I mean, I'm not sure I would consider you a Republic player. I
was before, a long time ago. Go ahead, Mike. Say the mean thing that you're about to say.
You are a flavor of the month player, Evan.
I'm gonna tell you a secret. I hope that Brian isn't upset that I'm about to say this. But I was chatting with Brian at the Oklahoma Open, and we were just sort of rapping about sort of our relationship, whatever that is, with each other that we have, as screwed up as things are. And Brian told me that he once thought that I was merely a meta chaser.
I mean, I think there's a.
I knew that you were, and that you would have agreed with him. But
I'm not sure that I would wholeheartedly agree with that. I think there is an aspect.
He followed that up by saying that he actually has gained like a modicum of respect, and then after that, he took the bowl of cereal that I was eating and he dumped it on the floor, because that's who Brian Bear is. Yeah. Anyway, that was my trip to Oklahoma Open, but. Yeah, we're going to talk about GAR. We're going to talk about GAR. We're going to talk about a couple of recent tournaments. I do want to give a quick shout out to, let's see, we got Kenny Turner is one of our random patrons, so thank you very much for your support. I also this week want to give a shout out to our Captain Rex and above contributors. So that is Malmolian, Manny Katz, Brad Bosserman, and of course the Palpatier donor Grant Sony. Thank you very much for all of your contributions. That's what got all the equipment that I use in this room, and websites and podcasts have various fees attached to them, blah, blah, blah. I try not to talk about this stuff all that much, but anyway, we appreciate it, and we are always keeping our ears open for all the patrons, or DMs on Discord, on our Discord channel, which you can get into for any level of donation, including $1 a month. We love to hear from folks about what you want. And of course, you don't have to be contributing. If you're watching the YouTube, listen to the podcast on whatever app you got, then we're glad to have you. And Mike, I often get the feedback that these tier list episodes, especially, is that they're good for painting, for sort of like halfway listening to when you're trying to focus on something else, which I'll take. I definitely do that with other Legion podcasts. So,
take that, other Legion podcasts.
That's not what I meant by that.
Evan only half listens to you.
That's not what I meant by that. I do mean that about Stabcast, but for the other ones, the other ones are cool. All right, so let's get into talking about a couple recent results. First of all, I want to cover briefly, because I think we're going to be covering it more in depth when the enemy of the podcast, Brian Bear himself, is going to be our guest to talk about the Rebel tier list next week's episode. He was there, but the Windy City skirmish happened. It was 48 players, and there were 2 5-0 players. So I'm going to cover the Rebel player first. That was Tristan Britt. Tristan's good guy is from Minnesota. He was on my WTC team, and hoping that he's going to be coming back this year when we go over to scenic Denmark, Europe to do WTC 2026. I think we'll have some more about that on our cast pretty soon. But Tristan was playing, like I said, it's a Rebel list, 13 activations, and it was Rebel officer with a whole bunch of upgrades, not the thermal detonators. Commander Luke, Jyn Erso, and then a Rebel agent. So that's the operative Rebel customizable, also with a repeating blaster.
Is the subtitle for that really Defender of Democracy?
That's a new one. I guess I'd never read the subtitles all that much, but boy, that's lightning in a bottle, isn't it? We should just move on from that. So he also had, of course, a super fleet trooper squad with a scattergun and Cassian Andor. And then he had 4 SX-21 Rebel troopers, 1 more naked fleet trooper, so that brought him to the maximum 6 core that he can run, and then 3 special forces, 2 sleepers with an astromech and a naked slinger. So you call it, I guess you call it Rebel good stuff. I think Luke is the only thing on there that breaches 100 points, if I'm reading everything right.
And also probably isn't on the good stuff list.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. So I think we're going to get a little bit more into this list in depth. I definitely want to hear Brian's thoughts on it when we chat with him next week. But do you have any initial thoughts about this one?
I mean, I think this is like to me, when I look at this, it's like, this is a saturation list.
Yeah.
And it's, I think Cassian really opens like, Rebels were already doing this before Cassian was in the market. And now that Cassian is in the market, it's way better.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
It changes a lot, for sure.
That squad is so good.
Yeah.
Not to mention that, like, if your opponent doesn't mess with it, it's like a victory point option outside the operative slot, which is brand new. Like, that I don't think that existed at all, right? Outside the operative slot?
I don't think so. Not that I can think of.
I think the only way to get secret mission or bounty.
I mean, yeah, it's R2 and Padme. I don't think
and the bounty hunters,
and
right?
Right. Yeah. So, because even the optional bounty hunter Asajj Ventress is also an operative. So,
right.
And then Callus now is an operative. He has bounties. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. It's the only extra VP outside of the operative slot, which is its own kind of wacky, cool thing. And then, of course, he hits for 1 billion dice, and he keeps hitting for 1 billion dice until Cassian himself finally goes out. It's crazy. We tried to say this.
It's really good. Every Rebel list I've seen since he's come out has included this unit, and it's just, yeah.
Yep. I mean, why not? It's Value Town.
If you're going to Worlds, you better have a plan to deal with it. That's all I have to say. Like, I'm not sure, like, how much of a plan you can really have.
I'm not sure how you deal with it aside from either finding somebody that you don't care all that much about to melee it, or really, really shoot at it a lot, all at once, preferably. That's basically all you can do. And neither of those, like, it's sort of like Bad Batch, except it's Bad Batch that can score VPs, and for what, like 50 points cheaper than Bad Batch is.
I don't think it's like Bad Batch at all. Bad Batch, you know what? I'm gonna save the Bad Batch talk for later.
Okay,
today,
yeah, save it. Put that in your pocket. So I do want to talk about the other 5-0 list, Mike. So it was about 5 weeks ago. We had a certain gentleman on here. He was here under a pseudonym. He was sort of trying to keep things low profile. But it might shock the listeners of the show to find out that Hercules Rockefeller was, in fact, the entire time Kyle Dornbos, the former editor-in-chief of thefifthtrooper.com, and the former host of this podcast. And so he came back from basically a year off with he was net listing from some fool and using a Grievous that was like an extra one that I had lying around, and he basically he made like a few changes to my list, but anyway, he went 5-0. He just like sort of plowed through everybody. He had a total of 63 victory points for 5 games. That includes a 19-point win that he had at the very end.
I expect nothing less.
I mean, what is there to say?
Frankly.
Like, I mean, yeah, that's the thing, is that all of this is made extra hilarious, certainly to you and I think to Kyle also, because of the fact that because the very last tournament that Kyle had participated in, which I guess must have been something like a little bit after Nova, had fallen off, or maybe it was Nova.
It was Nova.
Because that fell off, his rating that had his rating on Longshanks, which we talked plenty about last time in terms of how much stock you should put into this. This is like an excellent example of why so little stock should be put into it. His like rating went down from 250 to 110 after he got this 5-0 victory of this tournament. So Kyle
the Longshanks rating system is just
it's a lot of silliness.
Like, it's just, I wish that they would just kind of take it off, honestly.
And that is 110 out of a theoretical like 1,000. I think that functionally the highest rating that we usually see is like the low 700s, is what old Antoine Grenet usually hangs out at. So yeah, just to put that in perspective, is that Kyle's at 110, but it has been funny when like Kyle, who I've been very glad to see that he's like been messaging us a lot more lately to ask us about possible lists and strategies. I feel like he might be sort of seeing the hunger, feeling the hunger once again. But it has been funny where he asks us about, relatively straightforward things that are just he's just asking about it because he has not like basically played the game in over a year, and yet he was able to just like play a list that he had never played before. Obviously, he's an extremely good player, and he's also has a lot of speeder experience in particular, which is, some would say, super important for this list. He's played droids many times, so he had all the fundamentals. And so even though he hadn't really gotten a lot of practice on the battle cards per se, he went 5-0 and took it home on strength of schedule. And yeah, my list is pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, I expect nothing less.
from him is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not in the position to have those expectations, but I get you. And I figured that he would at the very least go 4-1 or just take it away. So I'm not surprised that this happened.
I mean, this was a good tournament with like good players. Like,
yeah, Brian Bear was there. John Bushfax Bershman was there. He got 3rd place with a 8-act 212 list. We're gonna be talking about that in a second, just in terms of how that fits into our tier rankings here and there. And then there were, let's see, Matt Evans was there, Trent was there, yeah,
Slawski, like,
yeah,
there was all sorts of people there.
Yeah. So wasn't a bunch of pin cushions that he took care of there. He was taking care of business, and yeah, so Grievous Wheelbike is good, but we've talked plenty about that in the last episode. And I do want to also more briefly mention that I did do a tournament over here in this neck of the woods at Mox Bellevue. Mentioned that last week. And we had some visitors from Portland for this one. They decided to take the jaunt up here. Usually it's us doing the reverse, but very nice of them to join us. So we have a lot of good players coming from down there. Their scene in Portland is actually bigger than ours is in the Seattle area, where they're able to do stuff like a little bit more regularly, have a few more players. Like they're regularly hosting events in the mid-20s, so kind of knocking on the door on the Indianapolis level of scene. Really good group of guys, very skilled. And for what I think is like the 3rd time in a row, Mike, Jojo Banks, Joe LeMolder won Joe without ever having played against me in the tournament by having some kind of a tiebreaker on me. But he was 3-0. Kyle Burlingame, who is also from Portland, was 3-0. And I was 3-0. Kyle was playing Wheelbike Grievous with 2 AATs and some Magnas and a bunch of B1s, some super B1s. And Joe was playing a 12 activation Republic list. Joe is pretty much a Republic player. And that had Yoda, Padme, Bad Batch, 3 Mortar Marksmen, 3 Shotgun Infantry, and 3 Naked Barks. So, I mean, it takes some effort and dedication to get to 12 acts in the first place, Mike. But I think it's even more impressive to me to get to 12 acts without having anything that like really feels like quote unquote filler. Like there's not even a naked infantry in here, which is the usual most common filler to at least share surge tokens or whatever. But yeah, what do you think of this one, Mike?
I mean, I think it's good. I would consider the Naked Bark as a filler unit. I think
so. It is from a points perspective, but it scores, right? So
I mean, so does a Naked Clone Infantry.
Okay,
right?
but
Like,
the Bark can score from much farther away, Michael.
It can, but I think I still think that the Naked Bark is like the amount of damage it does. It's just kind of it's there. It sometimes you hit 4 on it, but like that's like relatively rare without like aim tokens and stuff, and
it's not there to do damage.
No, it's not there to do damage, which means, like, again, kind of going back to the infantry example, like it's also like not synergizing with the rest of your list in the way that a clone infantry would or anything like that. Like it's not sharing tokens. It's purely there as like a scoring unit. Don't get me wrong, it's good in that capacity, but I would put it as like a filler unit.
It's the closest thing he has to one for sure, because everything else is like above 70 points at least in terms of
that's not true. Padme here is
Padme's
57.
not. You're right. I forgot about that. We'll talk more about her in a second. Now, Mike, you were bringing up the fact that you were thinking about trying to cut something to change Padme into Rex that would give Scout 2 to both Yoda and Bad Batch, that allows Yoda to have more options in terms of starting the game off after a Scout 2 move. He can be getting into breakthrough zones. He can start as a Vanguard and outflank and get into an opponent's deployment zone potentially. And then that definitely helps Bad Batch as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Bad Batch isn't like killing a unit on turn 1 without Scout. Like it's pretty difficult to do that generally, unless you're playing breakthrough or something.
Right.
And I think just like presenting that as something your opponent has to worry about, I think it's just like it's very powerful. It's definitely more powerful than just having Padme. Obviously the price difference between Rex and Padme is like pretty substantial.
Yeah.
It's
you probably have to cut a Bark like fully.
You have to cut an activation in this list to make that happen.
Yeah.
So it is. There is a cost to it, but I do think that it's probably worth it. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you
Padme's good, but I think that one of again, we'll talk about Bad Batch later today, but I think Bad Batch without Rex is like kind of a tough sell.
Interesting. Yeah, and if he got a couple extra points from getting a Bark off, it would also, you could increase Yoda's utility by just getting a Mind Trick on him. So it definitely can help if you can just be tossing in free extra 2 suppression on a limited number of units compared to the Technoforce version, but it's still not bad. But yeah, I think this is a cool list, and I think that there's a lot here because it maintains a lot of kill power. I like the 1-to-1 mix of marksmen with mortars along with clone infantry because then usually going to be using those 3 surges on defense, but your marksmen are typically not going to need surges on offense, which is very helpful for that. And when you have 3, that takes the marksman. I feel like having 3 prepared positions units is, especially when you're talking about marksmen that can share dodges with each other, that's what sort of takes them from the zone of being a juicy target to just like pick apart the prepared positions unit that's on its own, to actually being more of a threat range that you need to respect, because as soon as you shoot at one, then the like all 3 of the rest can then shoot at that guy also.
Generally, I agree. Again, I'm less high on it without Rex. I think if you throw Rex into the equation and it's like, oh, you shoot my marksman, Bad Batch can get you. You know, like that to me is like a very strong combination.
Yeah.
But in this situation, like, that's not a thing, right? There's nothing other than the marksman that are going to punish you for shooting the marksman.
That's true. And also, if Rex is in there and he's going out early, then he can be he can be a marksman. He powers up the marksman, exactly, so that they can take an aim shoot and then do range 4 plus a modification.
He gives you exactly 3 aim tokens.
Whoa.
It's like
crazy. It's like poetry,
right?
Yeah. So I think Joe's list really, really cool. And then I was playing the same old garbage because I'm obligated to keep playing that until I lose with it in a tournament. Still hasn't happened yet. So I don't know if I'm playing. I think hopefully there's a tournament before Adepticon. I'm sure it will happen at Adepticon, if not before. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? It's busted, Technoforce, Grievous, blah blah blah. There's this one thing, because I think I've talked about it a little bit before, but man, oh man, Grievous into like big old vehicles with full armor. If Grievous is in the rear, where they pretty much could not. Like, they would have to do a wacky pivot, strafe craziness to even get at him from that point. But like in the rear of a Saber, this is assuming it doesn't have any dodges, then I think that the expected damage output of Grievous is a little bit above 6 wounds if you do an overrun with Ram, and then a shot, and then a Jedi Arts. Is that you're talking about like doing 6 wounds expected to a full armor red save unit, and that is pretty sick.
It's a thing.
Yeah. Grievous good. News at 11. So let's get to the name of the game here, Mike. That we talked earlier about our various allegiances, and that you accused me of having none of them, which is now true. I do think that there was a time when I identified as a GAR player, but not really anymore. I am sure that your opinions are all going to be even-handed and defensible, and not based in emotion or vitriol whatsoever.
I mean,
do you have any commentary on that, Mike?
They can be emotional, vitriolic, and also defensible. Those 2 things are not mutually exclusive.
Well done, Mike.
Yep.
It is in fact our podcast, and so we can be as vitriolic and emotional as we want, and this will still be accurate and the letter of the law, and post it on everybody's doorsteps. This is the GAR tier list as far as January 12th, from the day we're recording this, 2026. Brief reminder to folks that we do S, A, B, C, D, and then the end is Riot Control Squad. That is the lowest rank. That will always be the lowest rank for as long as I am in charge of the fifthtrooper.com. And even there could be someday, Mike, I don't think this is ever going to happen, that Riot Control Squad is considered to be an S tier unit, Mike. But
I'm not sure that day is ever going to come.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. When we get to Empire, which is the one we're doing last, I can at least predict that Riot Control Squad as a unit will probably not be in the Riot Control Squad tier, which will be great. But believe me, there will be plenty of other stuff down there, so it'll be fine. Any general notes before we get to it, Mike?
I think, again, we need to make sure that we're taking into account that we're kind of like balancing a lot of this against each other in this list.
In the context of this faction is how
in
we're
the
ranking
context
these.
of this faction.
We are
yes.
not going to
So,
compare clone troopers to B1s. That would break my brain to even do such a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything is in context of faction, and we do have a couple of call-outs that we will get to. One of which is the fact that we do have one special issue unit in Republic, which is the Fluttercraft Attack Craft. So we had called that one as a separate one. And then we have one other special call-out that we made at your request, Mike. We will get to that when we get to it. But let's start off with Obi-Wan Kenobi. This was the very first GAR character. Obi-Wan Kenobi, you might know this, Mike, was the centerpiece of the list that won Worlds about 10 months ago, and has gotten a new identity in Legion 2.6, I would say. Or maybe it's like
I think he's
a refined identity.
I would say his identity has just become good as opposed to like secondhand to Anakin. like before it was like, it's like, oh, you can do this Guardian Ceresu thing.
Yeah.
But Anakin has exemplars, so he just kind of does it better. And now Kenobi just does the thing. And he also does it in a way stronger way than he used to.
Yes, I agree. And this is like, it's a little bit of a hard one to rank because you do have to build your list around him to a certain extent.
I don't think this is hard to rank at all.
Okay, well then you just do it, Mike. You're in charge.
I think this is an A tier unit. He's the best Jedi.
Okay. So
Did I catch you off guard already?
You didn't actually. I should mention that I made 3 predictions about how this list was going to go. They're all focused on things that Mike says, of course, because I can't I can already predict what I'm going to say. Sure. And we'll see how many of those come true. I'm keeping this a surprise for Mike until we get to the end of this. But I don't have any notes about him being A tier. I will say that he is one of the most like skill and experience dependent units in the game. If you sort of wing it with Obi-Wan, you will have a bad time.
You will. With that being said, I think in the right circumstance, he is definitely just like his effect is the strongest that you can bring to the table. And it's an effect that your opponent really can't shut down in a way that like you can kind of shut down a normal Jedi by, kind of playing around them or doing whatever. Like at the end of the day, you have to shoot your opponent's army, which means Kenobi is going to be online, right?
Yep.
And that just is, and even if you need to melee your opponent's army, like he's online for a turn still.
That's
right?
Exactly. He can play his 2-pip and then he's still online for that stuff. So he's very good. You do need to build your list around him. You do need to know what you're doing. But he also happens to synergize with Cody, who is another character we're going to talk about, and then he goes into 212th. Maybe we should talk about that real quick, Mike. Do you think that Obi and 212th actually sort of get along with each other? Because that one's kind of a weird one to me.
Until somebody finds something that like presently doesn't make sense to me, I don't think there's any reason to put Kenobi in a 212th list as it stands. And with the, I guess like, if you're going to do that, that means you're not playing tanks, which means you probably should just be playing a list that's not 212th.
It would be,
I guess, yeah.
It would be an infantry. It would be a core focused 212th list, I should say. Probably a mix of infantry and marksmen. Which
you can't really do because you can only take 4.
Yeah, that's true.
You
could do really super squads, but
it's weird. I would recommend against it, at least at this juncture. If ARF troopers get better, maybe. If there was like an incentive to take ARF troopers and have like a battery of like long range shooters and just have like Obi soaking the wounds for them, maybe we could talk. But I don't really think that that is in order for a list like that to work, it's got to be points efficient, and the ARF troopers just like do not check that box right now.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so but again, like in regular Republic lists, if you build a list right and you have a focus on infantry type characters, that he can really do well. So the next one I have on this list, this is a picture of a phase 1. He's going right to the back. We're gonna skip that one and talk about the Bark. So this is the first of many support options that the Republic has. I think that I would say that on average, the Republic, it might have sort of the best variety and sort of just like the most even-handed list of supports out of all the factions. Like a lot of good options, and that do a variety of different things. So the Bark is sort of the standard speeder. What do you think about the Bark, Mike?
Bark's fine. I think that it does the job that you want it to do. I don't think it is particularly like overbearing in like it doesn't do a lot of damage. It gets where you need to put it. And yeah, it does what it does. I think you put it where I was going to put it anywhere. It's B tier.
I think it's a B tier thing. B is for Bark. It's B tier. It does its job, and yeah, just as a reminder, if it does its job and does its job well, but isn't necessarily flashy, then it usually means it's B tier, and it's not an insult to it. It means that it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
All right. So the next one we got is ARC Troopers. So ARC Troopers, obviously, I think you would agree that at the beginning of Legion 2.6 was an S tier unit. When you had cheap commanders, when snipers were good, they were just sort of killing it. And now they're still good. They're much more expensive. The commander's upgrade is much more expensive, and the whole idea of a unit where the only heavy weapon options that are like really considerable are snipers, either Echo or the regular DC-15X. My thinking would be that they're B tier, but I'm ready for you to tell me something different, Mike.
I think there is somewhere between like B and C.
Yeah.
I definitely think that the list they're in really it kind of depends. I think they gotta get a little bit of a bump in bonus because I do think that they synergize with Marksman pretty well.
Yeah, they do.
And so I think like
that kicks in a low B.
A one of ARC is like okay, you know, just to like kind of, we were already talking today about like taking Rex so that you had 3 aim tokens to share to your Marksman. I think you can also do that with an ARC Trooper, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And it kind of like fulfills the like linebacker position. I think you're still going to see people do it and put 3 arcs in a list and like be sort of happy with it. But I do think that generally speaking, those units are a little bit too expensive for their average effect on a game state now. Again, they're in B. They're okay.
Yeah,
but
they do what they're supposed to do. They're not ripping up the scene anymore.
They're definitely not the pre-3 nerfs ARC Troopers that we started with.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
All right. So then connected to that is the strike team. So also obviously used to be significantly better than it is now. Where would you put the strike team, Mike?
I would put it in D.
Yeah.
I think that the pre-nerf, the ARC strike team is just you cannot afford to have a unit in a Republic army that naturally can just die to 2 hits.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you just can't. It's just not a thing that is an acceptable thing to put in your list.
Yeah.
And I wish it was different, but you know, I think strike teams we talk a lot about strike teams, I think, offensively being underperformers. That's actually not my concern with Republic strike teams. My concern with Republic strike teams is that, like, you just take 2 wounds and you lose like one of your 9 activations or one of your 10 activations. Like that's like, it's like unacceptable.
Yeah. And it's funny that even like now that there's area terrain and you can like even more easily do the thing where because the leader has the weapon, all you have to do is put the leader to be touched in the area terrain, leave the other one behind him, and then pretty much any shot can only kill the other guy first, and then you'd have to kill the leader with the second shot. But even despite that, I still agree with you that it ends up not being worth it. If there was a world where like Echo is one of those characters that I wish had variable point cost, because
Sure.
I feel like he should be less expensive in an arc strike team than he is in like an ARF or a marksman unit, where he is like contributing to a larger dice pool. But anyway,
I
it is what
mean,
it is.
let's before we talk about a variable cost, let's maybe get him under 46 first.
That's a good place to start. Yeah, fair. Okay, so we're gonna next talk about. Let's go ahead and do the clone infantry talk here. So,
sure,
I'm going to move this up, and yeah, we'll use these pictures. That's phase 2 picture, old news. Okay, so clone infantry. We decided, but pre-podcast, that we were going to have 2 categories. We were going to have regular clone infantry and then clone infantry with charge, which for now, one would maybe guess that, like we've heard that those new Jedi coming in the Jedi Council pack are going to have upgrade options as for clones. So there may be a couple of those that, just like Ahsoka and Rex, give charge to the, or sorry, not Rex, which is funny enough.
If
Ahsoka
Rex gave charge, he would be much better.
If Rex gave 5's charge, then maybe we wouldn't have lambasted him so much when we talked about him a few episodes ago. But yeah, Ahsoka and 5's are the 2 captain upgrades that give charge to clone infantry, and I think that very much changes what that unit's job is. So first, let's do it with charge, since that's the fun one. Where would you rank clone infantry that have charge, Mike?
Since we're having undercurrent of what Evan thinks Mike's gonna do, what do you think I'm gonna put them at?
I think you would put them in high A.
S.
Oh, all right. So tell me why.
Yeah, so I actually think that the 5's and Ahsoka units are actually the main reason to play the Republic right now. I think those 2 units in the Super Squad with the shotgun are the thing that the faction does well. And I think at their current point cost, they're still expensive, but they're irreplaceable. They do a tremendous amount of damage. They're really hard to kill.
Yeah.
And when you put them down on your table, most opponents shake in their boots, like actually.
Yeah.
And
the Ahsoka one is especially effective from a cost perspective, cost to like survivability and melee strength.
And I think that they're a little bit different, right? The Ahsoka one is obviously like way better at the melee, and 5's is like significantly better at like range 2 to 3. But they are both frightening units. Yep. And I just, in my mind, if you're playing Republic right now, like non-Battle Force Republic, this is the reason to play Republic, is these 2 units. And
they're also very fun.
They are very fun. I look at all those Republic lists, and we were talking about Joe's list earlier, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, like there's no 5 shotgun unit in this. Like what, why? And it's not because like a Joe made a like mistake or whatever, but that's just like where my headspace is when I'm building Republic lists. I'm like, I just want a 5 shotgun unit in this because it's just that good that I just want it every time.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. they synergize with a whole lot of other things that Republic does, including, there's a few different ways to get free moves, and there's guidance, and then there's the fact that when it's in a Yoda list, being able to put Relentless on that 5 squad in particular
It's so good.
is really dirty. That you're double moving and then also shooting, which is normally not something you'd be able to do, which means that for the next turn you'd be able to do the double move charge. It is very, very sick. So now we got to talk about the vanilla ice cream, which is clone infantry without charge. I'm guessing that you would put this in like top of B.
Yeah, I think I might say low B, high C. I'm like way more down on this squad than I have been in previous iterations of like when we've done Republic tier lists and stuff. I think that particularly now that marksmen are out, I think that this unit without charge is like a lot worse. I think that there is a lot less value to just like having a random guy with a mortar, or having a random guy with
Certainly
a rocket
mortar
launcher, right? Like
Yeah.
both the rocket launcher and the mortar options in this squad are like,
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I'm taking a shotgun, so I'm taking a shotgun, I might as well just go for broke, right? Like, obviously you can only take 2 of the Ahsoka and the 5s, so like, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm less high on them than I have been in the past. Well, part of that is that there are no other like decent squad leader options.
Yeah, and again, we had the Jedi coming out there, and the World's their oyster in terms of like future named clones that may come out for squad leader options. So there's definitely, it's a situation where, just in the same way that when Ahsoka came out, she doubled the squad leader options that gave charge to core units, which ended up being like a pretty big deal. That, who knows what's going to happen in that Jedi pack. I'm just like hoping that is going to expand the options for many of these units that we're talking about, like anybody that has that squad leader upgrade slot, which is many of these clone units. I'm excited about what that's going to bring, but right now it feels like there's one heavy weapon that matters, and so it's either a shotgun squad or it's naked, because you're literally using it for filler and meeting rank requirements, and that's kind of it. Okay, so the saber tank is one where 2 months ago I would have put maybe even in D, honestly, because I did not think that it was really a part of any, like it was too expensive for what it was contributing, and that it wasn't able to synergize with lists in a way that really like took advantage of what it can do. It was basically impossible to get at dodges, and so that made the outmaneuver not all that great. But we have 2/12 now, where it has a variety of synergies that are available. We have seen triple saber lists for those that are able to find and own 3 sabers. I think the new one's coming out
right now.
Yeah, the new one's coming out soon in a couple of months, so at least that will be available to folks again. But we've seen some success with that. But I've mentioned the list that Bushman was running. I ran up a list against Corey from Portland was playing that, and I was barely able to grab a victory out of that one. So that in and of itself, I think, has lifted the saber. We do have to kind of take into account its existence in non-212 lists, though. And so I feel like it ends up being like in mid B at the end of the day. But how do you feel, Mike?
I think this is solidly C. I think the issue here is that even in 212th, I think it's going to end up being too expensive to like come out on top like a ton. I think it'll probably be like the 212th triple saber list will probably be effective, but I don't think it's gonna be like winning tournaments left, right, and center. I
have a higher outlook than you on that one, having seen it a couple times, because when they're working together, and it's especially the dodge access on round one
Sure,
that you
but
can get from the marksman.
I sure, but is that the saber being the saber and doing the thing, or is that the battle force
Well, it's the
contributing
battle force lifting it in the same way that
that like a commander might, right? So like
yeah, basically.
right? So like I think you have to, like, if we're grading the saber on its own merits, I'm not sure that the 212th really changes the equation, because the things it's getting from the 212th are like, it's like throwing it into Tempest where it gets all these extra special rules, and like, I don't know. It's almost like you kind of need like a special issue saber tank if you want to grade it that way, I guess. But I think the saber tank is still like 10 points too expensive for what it does. And
I agree with you there. Yeah.
With that being said, like, I expect it to come down in the next update based on what we've been hearing.
Yeah.
I think one of the issues that 212th lists have is that, like, once you put 3 saber tanks in there, it's kind of hard to put other things in there. Like that's your budget.
That is the vast majority of the list. Obviously, like Cody can do some stuff. You can, what Bushman did is that he kept it to 8 acts, and he made 2 shotgun super squads that would then have infiltrate with the battle force ability, which is like a pretty nice addition to that. And so you end up with like 5 pretty darn scary units, and then Cody, who can do some damage, and then like
it's like what a sniper should be.
A couple of marksmen that are filler at the very end. That are basically providing some dodges on round 1, and then basically generating tokens and then making some crappy shots in the rest of the game. But the existence of that battle force, it does like bring the average up compared to how things were a couple of months ago. And I think that they're really good in it. I kind of want to put them at the bottom of B right now. Are you going to veto this, Mike? I give you the right.
I am. There's no way. There's no way they go in B.
Okay.
I wish that was true.
This is a very average looking curve we have right now, but don't worry, we're about to flatten the curve. Here we go. R2D2. Convince me not to do this thing that I'm doing right here, which is to put it in the trash canvas tier list, Michael.
Yeah, no, he goes in Riot Control Squad. Yeah. Do not ever put R2D2 in your list ever.
Even Brian Barrett couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, I think that there's a world where if the saber comes down in normal lists, like maybe you consider R2. But it's just at 55 points, he's just so bad. So bad. I don't know. It's weird, right? Because I think at 35 points, which I think was his original cost, like, I think he'd be pretty reasonable.
Yeah, if like, he could once again be filler because Secret Mission is so much weaker than it was before. Yeah. And because the game is honestly more lethal than it was before, he could absolutely be made significantly cheaper, and he would show up in a lot of lists just as kind of filler, or to be like he would be 4 health for like any list that featured vehicles, which is certainly not nothing. But as is, he still would barely ever score Secret Mission. It would be something to write home about, so to speak, if R2D2 ever scored Secret Mission. And I do think it's worth pointing out that I think, Mike, out of any character in this game that has 3 command cards, I think R2D2s are the worst out of literally all of them in terms of how much they actually like contribute to your victory condition. He has a no time for sorrows that goes on 1 person. He has a terrible flamethrower, and he has blast off, which used to be the touchdown victory situation, but now with the way Secret Mission works, and you have to start the round in it means that blast off becomes a runaway thing instead of being a like get into the end zone thing. And so I feel like none of them actually work with him, and they barely did before.
I mean, this is going to be a common theme today. I think his are about as effective as Padme's.
Ooh, well, Padme's 2-pip is better than anything R2 does.
Padme's 2-pip and R2's 3-pip are pretty close to the same card at this point.
R2, oh god, you're right. She only moves herself with her 2-pip now.
Yep.
Okay, well hers is technically better because the option of tokens is better than a smoke token is on average.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
And
the smoke token is just pure bonus.
And she can do a suppression slurp up. So that's
but nobody actually takes that card.
Yeah, I know. So. I'm just like I'm grasping at straws here.
I know you are because I'm right.
That said, Archie's commands are pretty terrible on average.
Yeah. And I also think you said that he's got the worst command hand. General Veers is pretty high up there.
He at least has he is high up there. I agree, but he at least gives 2 tokens and he has a long range attack. It's not a good one. It's the worst long range attack in the game, I think. But like that he is also the one that comes to mind when we talk about that. We'll talk about that in the Empire tier list. There's a little preview. Speaking of Padme is up next. Padme has taken quite a journey in Legion 2.6, or quite a journey since like the beginning of Padme, where she was initially okay, or initially she was like good, and then she like sort of gradually drifted into going into Busted Town for Republic and Old Legion, especially when Pikes showed up.
Gradually? I don't know, man. You seem to be recalling this differently than I do.
Oh, wait. She did standby sharing at the beginning, didn't she? So
yes, sir.
She started at the top and then dipped when they took standby sharing away, and then she did climb back up after Pikes came out. She ended pretty high. Legion 2.6 comes out. She's way too expensive for what she does. But then her points got cut down by like 15. Or something.
It was a lot. It might have been more than that. I think she might have been like 75 or something.
Yeah. So now she's the cheapest unit in Republic.
No, marksmen are cheapest, but yes.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so she's the cheapest character in Republic. She's what? She's 55.
She's 52.
52. Okay, so can contribute a decent amount as like a bolstering thing, and then can harass people with a decent gun. Needs a little bit of effort to kill. What do you think, Mike, of Padme?
Yeah, she's A.
It's higher than I thought it would be. That would be like B tier.
No, I think Padme is like she's 52 points. Like if you're ever gonna consider putting like a filler activation in your list, the first one you should probably put in is Padme.
She makes more sense than if your core requirements are already met. I think she makes more sense than either of those naked cores do.
Yeah, and I think most of the time she's better than a naked bark as a one of. You know, like if you're gonna take multiple barks, I think maybe we can have like a conversation about that. But I think if you're looking for like 1 to 2 fillers, like Padme should be the first one. She brings a lot of utility. I think Loki, her Inspire is really good, particularly with the super attacks that are out right now. They're just dumping suppression everywhere. Padme brings in a thing that like a lot of opponents, at least right now, I think will forget about a little bit. And she, if you hold her until later in the turn, like because clones tend to have like a pretty high courage value commander on the table, and maybe even her courage if she's running Inspiring Presence.
Right.
They tend to be difficult to panic in contrast to other factions. And when you combine that with Inspire, if you hold her to the end of the turn, it's really hard to actually panic because of off points. Effectively.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And it's one of those situations where because of her agile, nimble stuff, it tends to take more than 52 points worth of your opponent's units to actually deal with her. So that makes her a good value. I will say that when I consider her in comparison to Sunfac, that's when things like start to get sort of funny in my book.
I think we
for
need
like mid 50s
we need
points.
to teach you some Padme respect, my man. I think I actually think
she's
they're
good,
closer
but
together.
She
than
doesn't
you
triple
might think.
move, and so that's basically where I come down on it.
Sure, I mean,
And she doesn't generate orders either.
Sure.
But anyway, they're both good, and I'm glad that AMG shifted a lot of those like lower end cheaper characters that aren't going to be murdering anybody in their sleep in terms of like attack dice, that they made a lot of them cheaper in New Legion and then continued to do that as the game went on. I think that's very good for the game, honestly.
Yep.
Okay, ATRT. This is their second support in a very different role, obviously, than what the Bark does. In fact, it has a couple different roles, although I feel like in Republic it's either Flamer or nothing, and that's my opinion.
I agree.
So, and then this is also available in 212th, which can help out that list a little bit. I'm not sure how great the synergy honestly is with the ATRT, but I think that this is like, it's fine. It's not amazing. I think it's kind of high CT. I think it's actually below the Saber tank, if I'm being honest.
Oh, interesting. I think that this is high B tier.
Okay, tell me why.
I think that this unit is possibly the most underrated unit in GAR.
No, that's not true. We'll get to that one later. Go ahead, sorry.
It's actually like, for the amount of points you're paying, it is extremely durable and resilient.
It's pretty hard to kill.
It's possibly the most like bang for your buck points wise you can get. Like, what it's 12 effective health behind armor 2.
Uh-huh.
That's like that's pretty close to another unit that I have heard about recently that's doing pretty well. It's not quite the same, but
it doesn't have quite as many attack dice, Mike, unless it's doing a flamethrower shot on
it can though,
units.
right?
It can,
yeah. And I do think that that's why the flamethrower variant is the one to go. It's also should be noted that it can block line of sight to all your troopers, which I think is actually, like, again, like a pretty big deal. You know, you put two ATRTs, put them right next to each other. You can block most of a Republic army from being shot behind that wall. I think they're pretty good. I think the only thing
if they're doing that, then their flamethrower is going to be hard to utilize if they're hanging back with the army.
100%. But I do think that, like, is it the best thing you can be doing? Probably not. Is it powerful? Yes.
Yeah.
It's not busted. It's not A tier, but I do think that it is. Would I right now consider a Flamer ATRT over our troopers? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And for what you mentioned, certainly on round one, if your opponent has a lot of long range shooting, that can make it so that you literally don't have to worry at all that Cody is going to get sniped off by a couple tank shots or whatever that would get through backup with beam turret nonsense. And yeah, like it has surge to hit. It is pretty hard to kill. Yeah, okay. So sure, let's put it ahead. You want to put it ahead of Barks or behind Barks?
I think it's better than Barks. Like, power level wise, I think efficiency wise, like, Barks obviously are cheaper. Which is
75 points for the Flamer RT.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not that expensive. You do get, it's something that your opponent has to deal with. Certainly from an attack dice perspective. Okay, here we go, Mike. Anakin Skywalker. I'm just gonna open up the floor to you immediately.
Yeah, so I have weird feelings about Anakin. He is basically just a beat stick. That's like all he is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Force push is really too expensive.
Yep.
And I think that
are we gonna do reset the clock about force push? Like, I think that should be our new reset the clock, Mike, about force push.
I'm all
being
for
too
that.
expensive.
I think force push. I think one of the reasons that crisis news alert, there won't be any Jedi in this faction in S tier, is because that all of them really like want force push, and it's just not reasonable to take. And so I don't know. I think Anakin, unfortunately, he's like the unit in our faction that I feel like is supposed to be the like Vader or Dooku, like in 2.6.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't have any of those tricks, right? Like the reason Vader and Dooku are like, and to some extent like Operative Luke are like still playable, is because they have things that are not force push that like affect the game state that aren't also damage dealing effects. Some of them are damage dealing effects as like ancillary effects to those effects. I'm talking about Vader's might. I'm talking about I am a Jedi. I'm talking about Dooku's 3-pip. I'm talking about like Dooku's 1-pip where he just like throws out a bunch of suppression. Anakin doesn't have anything that actually like affects the game state other than killing things, and he generally only can do that once a turn. Is whatever you send him at generally dead? Sometimes. He actually is like pretty loose on the dice ceiling a lot of the time. Without being wounded, it can be tough to one-shot things without tenacity online.
Yeah, I recently had this experience myself when my opponent was counting on Anakin being able to 1-pip kill Sunfac and the Naked Geo Warriors in one activation. Yeah. And then he rolled 3 dice against Sunfac. And obviously, or no, he rolled 4 against Sunfac, right? And so that obviously did 4 wounds to Sunfac, but it meant that he had to use his second attack to finish off a 5 health white defense dice character, and that wasn't a great use of his 1-pip.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that unlikely to roll a blank in his pool.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to roll it like roughly 50% of the time. There's going to be a blank there.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult to get him aim tokens now that like exemplar sharing isn't like a thing.
Yeah.
And Tempted is great if you get it to work, but one of the issues Republic has is that they're generally a low activation faction, so they tend to not want their units to die for obvious reasons. And yeah, I think that Anakin is
say it,
high C, low B.
Okay. You're one off my prediction.
Where did you think I was going to put him?
I thought you were going to put Anakin in D tier. But I was thinking that you might be extra spicy, Mike, tonight, and I think you're medium spicy so far.
I don't think that's
my
super
first failed prediction.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I think D would have been a little bit hot, but I 100% agree with you on C. For what he costs, he doesn't achieve enough in this current world that we live in, where the Jedi tricks that all Jedi can do, which is force push and then a couple other things, are honestly like worth less than they used to be worth. In this world where there's more vehicles, there's more health, there's more dodges lying around. Pretty much like against somebody like this, every dodge is an extra health that you're getting, right?
It's so brutal. If you get like 1 to 2 dodge tokens on a unit, like they're out of Anakin range.
Yeah,
like unless you play his 2-pip, and even then, those white dice are insanely fickle.
Listen, I saw episode 3. Let's just go back and give high velocity to Anakin's lightsaber, because he swings that thing really, really fast when he's fighting against Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like that gif, the gif of Anakin and Obi-Wan, where it's, the moment I'm talking about, where they just like sort of swing at each other and they just like hit the air, and it's this weird like thing where they're just sort of like haplessly swinging sabers at the places where their opponent's body is not. And I don't really understand why it's happening. It's still like one of the most like funny images from all of Star Wars to me. But he does swing it really fast. So listen, AMG, just give him high velocity. Why not? What do you think, Mike? Would that be balanced?
If I were to make any changes to Anakin, it would be one of the following two. I would just like axe him 20 points. Like I think 150 is kind of like the baseline for like what a Republic Jedi Commander needs to cost.
It would be funny for him to go back to what he started Legion 2.6 at.
It would be. I think the other option is I actually think adding 1 red die to his attack pool and just like giving him Vader's attack pool, I would be okay with that too.
Yeah.
I think that would actually be pretty reasonable, and I think that it would be much more in line with the character we see on the screen, because let's face it, Anakin in Revenge of the Sith is like the scariest version of him or Darth Vader or whatever. Like that's him at his pinnacle,
because
right?
he had his regular legs before he got robot legs that couldn't really jump anymore. Ironically,
Darth Vader might be like a murder bot, but he's slow and like I don't know. I think just throw him a red die, and I think we might have a different conversation. But
fair enough. All right, Yoda. I'm gonna make a prediction here that. Sorry, did you say you think Obi-Wan is the best Jedi the Republic has?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm gonna maybe put Yoda right behind Obi-Wan. What do you think?
So I was gonna put Yoda at the low end of A. I definitely think that Yoda is definitely the second best Jedi. It's mostly a points thing, and I think that in a world where again Force powers cost what they should, Yoda would be S tier.
If the Force was even like 3/4 of what the Techno Force is, then Yoda would be an S tier unit.
Even half. Even half as much.
Sure. Way to make it spicier, Mike.
And so I just so Yoda's command. I think the issue I have with Yoda is that out of all the Jedi units in the game, he is the one that requires you to play his command cards. Like stone cold, if Yoda is on the table, you have to play a Yoda command card. Otherwise, he as a unit is basically unviable. Like if you put Yoda in a list and didn't take any of his command cards, he is riot control level bad.
That's true, because like his 3-pip obviously generates a whole bunch of tokens, and it gives you an order on everybody, which is super valuable. And then both of his other commands give him a move and attack, which is super duper duper important for like any Jedi, some might say. And so if you're getting neither of those things, then it's sort of like, what's your Yoda even doing there?
Which brings in this like weird situation where if you're taking Yoda, you don't really want other characters that want to play.
That rely on their command cards,
right. And it's weird because like you could definitely get away with playing Anakin or Kenobi or Operative Luke or Darth Vader or Dooku, maybe Dooku a little bit less so than the others, without their command cards, right? And you could play them. They'd probably be a little overcosted, but they still like have charge, and Yoda is actually just garbage without his command cards. So, I do think that is more important now in the new edition of the game, or that like dependency is way more true in this edition than it was in the previous one. The previous one was like slower. You kind of like get away with like Yoda not being effective for a turn.
Yeah.
That's not true in this version of Legion. And because all of his power is tied up in these command cards, it really means that if you put Yoda in your list, you are playing a Yoda list. And like, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, but that said, those command cards do so much, and then when they get on top of his unit card, he can do a lot, and now he's like appropriately cheap enough to be able to be put into a wider variety of lists. And so, even though Mike was like casting all those aspersions right there, is that he's still an A-tier unit, like he's still very good. But I think those are the only things that hold him back a little bit. I agree.
I guess the reason that I was spewing all that stuff is because to me, if there should be a list, a unit on this list that is an S tier, it is Yoda. I don't know.
I mean, he's supposed to be like the
Grandmaster
the
of the
good
Jedi Order.
right? So, but he's pretty darn good. I'm glad that they cut his points down. Speaking of Yoda, we have Chewbacca. So here's the rough part, Mike, is that I think Chewie is the best Wookiee trooper that Republic has, and
And you already want to put him in
I'm
riot
gonna
control.
put him in D tier.
Sure.
He can. You usually don't see him in the Yoda list these days. If you're doing a Yoda defenders list, then he definitely needs to go in there, but it's like not very good. And outside of that, just the limitation of his Guardian to being commanders is a huge limitation.
I mean, I don't even like. I wouldn't even read Guardian as on his unit card. Like, frankly, like I feel like that keyword is sort of like free, in that like, not that you're not paying for it, because obviously his cost is whatever, but
yeah.
like it's not really part of his kit.
But then if you're not using him for that, then he's 90 points. He has like decent survivability and damage. Like he's pretty survivable. His damage output is like fine. But you know, he doesn't come with any of his own command cards that exist outside of Yoda, so he's not like contributing to your army's mission. And so in that case, he'd be functioning like an operative, except he's taking up a commander slot, which is already like the most competed for slot in Republic from a like unique units perspective. There's a crap load of commanders in this army. So the point that they needed to like give Ahsoka the ability to be crammed in there as long as Anakin's already in there. But yeah, like he just doesn't do a whole lot, and he needs to be hurt to have a move and attack. It's cool that he's a null courage value option, potentially
Sort
as a
of,
commander,
kind of.
but he needs to be hurt in order to do that. And then if he's hurt enough in order to do that, then he's probably about to be dead, and so he doesn't like function all that well as that. So you're like giving your opponent agency, and you having a null courage commander. So yeah, I feel like I've said all I need to say. D tier. How do you feel?
I was going to put him in riot control.
We need to make room in riot control for certain other Wookiee characters, Mike.
That's fine. I think I've seen Chewbacca on the table once in 2.6, and it was not very good. You know.
Yeah.
I take that back. I've seen him probably twice, I guess. But
yeah, I've only ever seen him in Yoda Kashyyyk lists, because again, like you sort of have to, in terms of like you're really wanting Yoda to be a kill, like a beat stick as much as possible in a list like that. And so Chewie, because you can't take Rex, Chewie's the one that helps him move around.
Sure, yeah. I definitely think it's like one of those situations where you're not taking him because he's good. You're taking him because you actually have to.
Yeah, pretty much.
So.
Okay, well, we now have 3 other Wookiees, Mike. All these unit cards came out at the same time, and we're doing things chronologically. So let's just get these discussions all out of the way at the same time. And I'm gonna do something here. So I'm gonna take Wookiee warriors, and I'm gonna put them ahead of R2D2. Why? Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's Wookiee warriors, and then I'm gonna put the Wookiee chieftain there behind R2D2, and then I'm gonna take the Wookiee shooters, the Kashyyyk defenders, and put them even behind the chieftain. This is my assault portion of the podcast, Mike. In defenders, I feel like we've already spoken about this so many times. Obviously, like their Wookiee warriors are literally required in a Kashyyyk list, and so how well they function there is like the fact that they show up in every Kashyyyk defenders list is just because like you have to, and they never show up anywhere else. Certainly the Wookiee chieftain you would never see play in a regular Republic list. And even in Wookiee defenders lists, I do not bother with the shooting Wookiees because the attack dice to cost efficiency of them is dirt poor. It is bad.
It's not good.
It's not great, and we've talked about it before. We don't need to go over it over and over again. Do you have anything else to add about these wonderful characters that are great?
I do. I have to fight back a little bit on one thing.
Okay.
Okay.
What, Mike?
We put Magna Guard in D tier last time, and the Wookiees are about as effective as Magna Guard, in my opinion.
I am fine bumping the Warriors up to D, the regular Wookiee charging guys.
That is all I'm asking for. I agree that the Chieftain and the Sharpshooters are perhaps the most riot control you possibly could be.
Yes. Agreed.
Even if you're riot control, I think the Wookiee Chieftain and the Bowcat and the Wookiee, shooters might be more riot control than riot control is. But I do think that the Wookiee Warriors they're not good.
No.
But I'm not sure. Are they never put on the table good? Yeah. I mean, like, they still kill things when they hit.
Yeah. They do like to be enabled with tokens that they have no way of getting for themselves.
Well, you still can, like, put tenacity on, like, stuff on them. I'm not saying you should. It increases their cost. But, like, when those units with tenacity and offensive push, like, hit, they hit hard. And it's, like, you generally delete what you're touching.
Yeah, that's true. But it's also 106 points or whatever the hell it is. And it's just...
And they generally don't survive to get there. And But, yeah. They're roughly Magna Guard level to me.
But they have scale, Mike. Anyway, what's next? The Ragnash Fluttercraft. First, I'm just going to move the other one up here. So this is my turn, Mike. I am going to put the regular Ragnash Fluttercraft in C tier. I think it's like low C tier. I think it has potential in regular Republic lists. And I have seen it used a few times. I think Strike and Fade helps it a lot. You would really want it to be in a list where you have order control options on it. And so which is tough. And the way that you can do that is by combining Strike and Fade with HQ uplink so that it has constant order control, and that what the Strike and Fade does is that it allows it to take recover actions that maintain a quote unquote normal action efficiency when it comes to moving for a speeder, but that is 15 extra points, and it can still go down really fast. At some point, we're going to actually do the TFT mini on Fluttercraft, and I think it's literally just going to be me talking, and you're just going to like sign off for the entire episode, which is
probably
basically what it's going to be.
I don't understand why you would ever take a Flutter when you can take a Bark.
In the current environment, I agree with you, because there are certain units that the Fluttercraft is very bad against from a dice efficiency standpoint, and those units are vehicles under 100 points, and I'm like including Aquadroids in that category. Are like anything with armor that's under 100 points. They're pretty decent if you have like a big armored target that you're really trying to take down, because they can actually pretty easily get into a weak point, and then they have impact, they have pierce, so like they can be pretty darn annoying to like a bus. And take it down pretty quickly, or a saber tank, something like that. But if you have a bunch of Aquadroids or ATRTs or like pretty much anything on the table, Dark Troopers, then what they're doing is that they are doing 1 damage with the impact and pierce, and then that's it. And you generally want to be getting a little bit more from that if you're paying like in the 80 point range for something that has a piercing gun, especially if it can go down as fast as it goes down. The thing that I say over and over again is that the defense dice on Fluttercraft are the defense dice that you don't have to roll, because you're appropriately ranging yourself from your opponent and using them as kiting. But it feels like the ability to even do that at all goes down and down, like as the game goes on and more long range options appear. Like against a marksman swarm with Fluttercraft, I would be just like,
guess I'm dead.
Yeah, I guess I'll just give up now. So they're pretty tough. They need to be cheaper, and that includes the actually good version of the Fluttercraft, which is the Fluttercraft Attack Crafts. Having access to speed 3 with these things does change a lot when you're doing typically move, attack, move is the usual way that you do things.
Super good with strike and fade.
Yeah, and then you add strike and fade, and they can go like really, really far. The attack craft was the only reason I got any wins when I played at Adepticon last year, was because they are a really good objective piece, and they have like the attack craft has like good alpha strike potential on round 1, where especially if your opponent has something like any like red save non-dodged up, which definitely matters against clones, like infantry-ish unit. So, if they have death troopers, or if they have stormtroopers, or if they have like infantry that haven't dodged themselves up, like clone infantry, then they can be really, really solid to just take out a unit round 1 when all 3 of them pile onto it. I have a lot of memories of them just like knocking out heavy response units before they really get to do much in Blizzard Force. So the attack craft specifically, I think, is high B tier, and I would actually vote to put it in between the ATRT and the Bark.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
In the context of that list, it is actually the best thing in that list, which is not saying a ton.
By a lot.
Which again is not saying a ton considering the other stuff. I guess technically you could say that the clone infantry, or maybe specifically the clone marksman, might be the best thing that you can put in a Wookiee defenders list, but we will get to that. Okay, after that we have the ISP, also a big part of Isaiah's World's Winning list. I'll just let you. I've been doing a lot of Wookiee talk, Mike, so I want you to go ahead. Tell me where to put the ISP, the cheapest heavy option in Republic.
Yeah, I think the ISP is. I'm still not like super sold. The ISP is like amazing. I think it's fine. I think that it really suffers from unstable being still on the market. I think that it's kind of like in there with these other like vehicles
like, somewhere in B tier.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best out of those 3. Generally, like it's not a bad unit. It's good, but I don't know.
It can go down really fast against the wrong kind of list.
Yeah, and I think particularly with people like packing more impact and stuff, and all of a sudden like there's a bunch more critical running around because every other Republic list is like running mortars and stuff. Like, I think that this is a lot easier to kill. And again, I don't think they nerfed unstable enough for me to even think about putting an ISP in my list. Just it's like one of those things that just gets murdered by 1 instantly.
Speaking of which, the LAT.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting murdered by double ion land speeders, but the LAT did get back in June and got a points cut. It's there. It's honestly there to be as a gun platform than for its transport capability, and it can go into 212th. You have to put 2 ordinances on there to really like make it effective from an attack dice standpoint. It does have armor 5 plus cover 1, which is something more than like the T-47 doesn't have armor 5, and like the bus doesn't have cover 1 when it comes to like the health of these big vehicles. So it will last longer on average than those 2, to give you like an example of where it stands as far as the stuff goes. So anyway, yeah, and then door gunners also got added back in June, so there's some possibilities there. Weirdly, Mike, I think this one is also like in that B tier zone. What do you think?
Oh no, I think this is like D. Like
D. Wow.
Like, yeah, hard D.
Isaiah's going to be really upset with you, Mike.
Like not close. I think that every upgrade you put on this is just throw in bad money. Or like bad money after bad money.
Like, explain yourself.
I don't understand how you could possibly rate this above the Saber tank.
It's a lot cheaper.
Sure, but it's also like doesn't do anything. Like the dice on it are actually dice. It has got 4 attack dice that you don't have to
7 with
to get back. Sure, it doesn't surge.
With one of the ordinances as critical one. But it does not naturally surge, yes.
No, it doesn't surge. I think that this is, it folds to impact basically instantly, and in the event that they don't kill it, it's like, oh, my lat survived, I guess. That's cool. like I don't think this is not a good unit, and
Man, I don't know which of these comments is going to get more people more mad at you, whether it's Anakin or the lat. But
I don't think
there's going to be some super fans
this
out
should
there.
not be news to anyone. The lat has been bad and continues to be bad. And
I
like,
agree, it had been bad,
and
before
even
it got
like
cheaper.
I don't think they knocked like 10 points off it. Like, 10 points was not the problem. The problem was that the unit just doesn't do anything.
Well, and the beginning of 2.6, they gave it that second ordnance slot, which allows it to roll like full attack dice every round.
Sure, if you want to pay an extra 20 points to put guns on
18
it,
points,
like,
I should say, yeah.
You know, like, okay. Like, if it had that stuff for free, I would be willing to have this conversation. But it doesn't. And because it doesn't, it's just bad.
So, I mean, just to put this out there, so that with armor piercing and high energy, it's 108. It's 108 points for something that is harder. It's harder to kill than any vehicle cheaper than that.
So let me ask
right?
you this.
Okay,
let me ask
go
you this.
ahead.
108 points. You're shooting what? 7 dice?
7 dice, yeah.
A super marksman squad is 103.
Hang on, I have some. I feel like the marksman's really thrown off the map for a lot of this stuff. I think you said that on a podcast before.
Yeah, I mean, I just like I
don't even know where to start. There doesn't it take, assuming you don't have a ton of impact, it takes more dice, like in the average scheme of things, to kill a lat than it does a super marksman, I think.
Like maybe, you know, I mean, we're assuming if you assume the marksmen don't have access to surge tokens, maybe that's true. But like, I don't know. I think if the marksmen have access to surge tokens, like you're gonna like nickel and dime the lat with crits, and it's just gonna die. You know, like, it's, once it's broken, it's like real bad. You know, it only needs to take 6 wounds for it to be like really not good. You know, 6 white save wounds it's not that hard to achieve. I don't know. I'm not on this train. No one can sell me on this. It's just not a thing. And this is coming from some, like, I've played a lat over the last 6 months. Like, I've played a lot of lats. Was doing that, like,
you're not
Cody
coming at this
Ahsoka
from
lat
no
thing.
experience.
Like, it's not that like I haven't tried to make the lat good. I've tried, and like I was like, you know what? They put door gunners in the game. I'm gonna try this thing with door gunners and like make it. Door gunners is like most of the time is like a hit, maybe.
Yeah. Well, you can put spider uplink on it, and you can't ever turn it off. So that's something. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, if you get your lat to range one of your opponent and it lives, like, okay. You probably already won the game.
It's still funny to me that bunker buster shells are the most expensive ordnance.
Yeah, I mean, scatter is like a very powerful effect.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
I guess blast is pretty good, but
are you vetoing me on this D tier ranking?
I think that you're being a little bit spicy, and I want to put it at the bottom of C tier.
I feel like this is the least spicy thing I've said today. I'm gonna
That's
be
literally
honest.
not true. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the lat is. It used to be riot control. It's like, it's cheap enough that, okay, you put it in your list, fine. You know, I want it to be good. I've got one right here that I'm painting. That's, you know, pain in the butt to put together, by the way. Anyways.
Oh yeah, it's a real mess to put together. Yeah. I'm gonna, since I actually thought that it was low B, I think that we're gonna put it in C as a compromise.
Okay. As long as it's not above the saber tank, that's fine.
No,
I think the saber tank is like a much better vehicle.
I put it at the bottom of C.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one we got is Commander Cody, also a member of the world's winning squad. he's gotten progressively better, I think, as Legion has gone on, just like generally. He's still not like he's not going to rip stuff up by himself, but he definitely has a lot of synergies. 212 potentially makes his command cards better than they were before.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how true that ends up being. It definitely, I think that the one where you get to hold the observation tokens
Yeah,
over,
that's
like,
the main one I'm thinking of. Yeah,
definitely is like interesting.
And in that list, having direct vehicle is super important. When you have when you have 3 tanks, either 2 or 3 of which have link targeting ray on them, that makes a big difference in terms of them being able to dish out the damage. So I think I want to say either low A or high B. What do you think, Mike?
I'll put him above the ISP. I don't think he quite makes the A tier. I think I'm gonna say this. I'm just gonna have this conversation now,
Sure.
so that I don't have to have it like 4 more times today.
Okay.
Clone Commander Cody is a character that is in the commander slot that really is an operative. In that his courage doesn't matter at all, and he plays like an operative.
He does.
He kind of plays like Sun Fac, sort of, to be honest. Like, obviously he doesn't triple move.
Yeah.
But like he kind of just like jumps around, he shoots some stuff, and you try and keep him away from your opponent's like things that could kill him.
For sure. Because he will go down like a rock.
Yeah. Like if your opponent ever gets a hold of him with anything with Pierce, like you're just like really not happy about it. And I think
he usually doesn't even have search tokens around him, so like even just shooting at him will get him down pretty fast.
Yeah, and like triggering target on him is kind of difficult sometimes, like particularly with the lack of order control in Republic now. You know, I think that to me, I think he did come down in cost. I think he's still a little too pricey.
He might be.
You know, I don't know. Yeah, I think high B tier I think is fine. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think high T is exactly the right place to put him. Yeah, it'll be interesting because most of the 212 lists I see are basically hamming a bunch of vehicles, and I feel like he obviously was able to function plenty well before, but that's given him more options, which is always good. The other clone commander character that I skipped by earlier because I literally thought he was an ARC trooper because I'm like bad at telling clones apart.
Sure.
But we have Captain Rex. Boy, he's had a journey too, many ups and downs, and I feel like he's now sort of in this middle zone compared to where he's been during the highs and lows of his history. I think he's probably also B tier, right, Mike?
Yeah, I would put him B tier. I'm not sure he's as high as Cody. I
don't think so.
So this is what I'm gonna say. I think he's B tier, probably around where the attack craft is. I think that's only because he's kind of a requirement to make some other units playable.
He is scouting party too.
Yes, and his other
tokens for his friends.
Yeah, the other stuff he brings is like fine.
Yeah.
Again, he doesn't bring a courage bubble, which again I think is like what? He's a commander. Again, he plays like an operative. He does an operative thing, and
that said, Mike, the only reason he doesn't bring a courage bubble is because all the clones have courage too.
Yes, but the clones are already paying for that.
That's true. That's fair. That is a good point.
Right? Yeah. Like which is something that I think that is not looked at enough. Like we're already paying for courage too. We shouldn't have to pay for our commanders to have a courage bubble when they don't.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's just a mic rant thing. Yeah, he's fine.
I wish that there was some way to make him more survivable, because I feel like that takes a lot away from Rex, is the fact that he goes down like a rock even faster than Cody does, because if you want Rex to be in the fight, then he is getting closer rather than farther away from your opponent's damage dealing characters. He also doesn't come with his own surge tokens. He doesn't have impervious. He just dies.
I think he should have impervious. I don't know.
I totally think he should.
Rex specifically. I mean, he's an ARC trooper, right? Like
he has the ARC trooper outfit.
Yep. Like he's an ARC trooper. Like
it's crazy.
He's
crazy.
He should have impervious as well. I don't know why.
Totally.
It is what it is.
Let's finish the fight with let's finish the fight with the clone commanders. We have the clone commander, the generic one. Certainly at a low point compared to his past. I think he's D tier, better than Chewie, and worse than a strike team. What do you think?
I would put him in C tier, above the Lat and below the Fluttercraft.
Interesting. But what is the use case for him in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, if you have 60 points and you have 5s in your list, I think it's not the worst thing you could be doing. We saw, Michael Stubbs win LVOIS,
he did.
I believe.
Yeah, Michael won LVO with a generic commander for sure.
I don't think it's great. Like it's definitely not on the power level it used to be. I think we can definitively say that, right?
Well, yeah. Taking away fire support contributed to that a lot.
Well, I mean, aggressive tactics I think was actually
aggressive tactics deal, also. Right? Yeah, he still showed up early in 2.6 when AT was around. Yeah,
so I mean, I think at the end of the day, like 5s augments him into like 2 orders. You're still paying a lot for that.
Yeah.
His bolster, I think, may become more important as we see more marksmen. I think that is unclear how that has played out. It's not the worst thing you could do. I think generally, this is your second choice if you are looking for a filler unit that has bolster after Padme, right? Or if you've already filled your operatives because you took R2 for some ungodly reason.
Yeah. Certainly before another unit that has bolster.
Yeah.
That we'll get to.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. That makes sense. Those are good use cases. So I'm definitely fine with low C tier. All right. Ahsoka. We're out of the zone of me being fully chronological because we're in the place where I started to add pictures. So now we're in the rando zone. Ahsoka is a character that I don't really understand. I'll sort of admit that. I think that there's probably juice that I don't know about yet, but all that said, at this point, I actually don't see a lot of juice. But how do you feel about Ahsoka?
Ahsoka's in a weird spot.
We're talking about the commander, not the unit leader, who's basically incorporated with the charged infantry.
Ahsoka is in a weird spot in that she is also a commander who is Courage 2 and acts like an operative.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I think does not synergize as well with the lists with what is generally around her than her counterparts does or do. And she is a little bit more expensive. Her kit's really weird.
She has zero synergy with the 2 other 501st characters that she can go with, right? Like, am I missing anything there? When you talk about Anakin and Rex, like, there's nothing.
Associate.
Okay, but that's literally about including her in a list. But I guess I would have thought that they would have done something.
I'm so surprised that she did not have like a teamwork card with them.
Like what Sabine what's funny is that she has one with Sabine, but not Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird unit. I think there's something there. I just don't think anyone's really found it yet. I definitely have toyed around with it, but at the end of the day, her lightsaber is not great. Like if you're gonna pay for like a charging unit that does damage, arcs are better than her and cheaper. And again, she's a commander. You're like paying for a Jedi character that isn't giving you a commander bubble, which is one of the big advantages of taking the Jedi in Republic, is that like you're getting more than Courage too. I guess she gives it to you on one turn, right? When she bumps her Courage. She can do a pretty rough imitation of Kenobi. She kind of does like a rough imitation of everybody with her command cards, and is like she's kind of like jack of all trades, master of none, which means when it comes to list building, you end up not wanting her because that's not what you're really looking for.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I think that she gets included in a lot of lists because people like the character, which is obviously fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I for out of curiosity's sake, so Ahsoka's 110 at baseline. She usually has like an upgrade or two.
You generally have to put Saber Throw on her.
Yeah, that's right. And then the ARC Troopers with Jedi Guardian on it are 92. And when you compare the damage output between those two, it's like sort of like night and day. When you consider the tactical that you're getting, and even on most turns, the ARC Troopers will have a larger threat range. Certainly obviously from a shooting standpoint, but or from a saber throw standpoint, Ahsoka would have a larger threat range. From a charging standpoint, the double speed 2 is going to be more than the speed 3, assuming she's not doing her 1 pip or whatever it is that gives her charge once.
Yeah, and her saber throw, again, I make this comparison a lot. I feel like when we talk about Jedi,
it's Cad Bane.
It's Cad Bane.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Keep that in mind. I think this might come up again very soon. So, all that said, yeah, I kind of think that she's. Is it wrong? Okay, I want to put her in D tier, but I feel like I'm being dismissive somehow if I do that.
She's definitely better than the Saber Tank and worse than Anakin. She's like right. She's like right there for sure.
Well,
but put
cool. They can be
along
buddies
with the
at
master.
Top of, yeah, there you go. They can be buddies at the top of C tier. Clone Commandos, Mike. Where would you put them?
Yeah, so I feel like Clone Commandos are definitely still playable.
Mm-hmm.
They still can feel, I think, to a lot of people very oppressive to play against.
Yes.
I want to be respectful of that as I move forward in what I'm going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
As someone who plays a lot of Commandos, I don't feel like I get the squeeze out of them that I used to. And I know a lot of people are probably happy about that, but I don't play Commandos anymore because they just aren't doing it. In a similar way that I don't play a ton of arcs, I think that them and arcs are like right there next to each other in B tier, where they're like, this is fine, but I'm uninterested because I feel kind of priced out of this option generally. I think they're a little bit too expensive for what I'm getting. It's like at the end of the day, this is going to continue to get worse because General Grievous just like can like one shot these guys. It's like the fact terrible. That the fact that we're getting all of these like mounted units really takes the Commandos and like throws them against the wall. It's like get Katarn armor.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad. Particularly because I think a lot of these units are going to be pushed in a competitive way. I know that that's a little bit of future sight, but I think that we've seen enough of Grievous and we've seen the Tauntauns unit cards to know that the Commando stocks are just going to continue going down. So
yeah, as we get more good overrun and charging in the game,
yeah, Katarn becomes less and less valuable because you're not going to be able to use it. As does their shields, which I think are already less valuable in the new edition by a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, they're fine. They might even end up in C tier, to be honest, once all these mounted shenaniganry is said and done. But
I think that's fair. Speaking of both of those items, I want to basically take Delta and put them a little bit below where regular clone commanders are.
Delta's definitely a full tier below regular clone commanders.
They're not that much more expensive, but they are. They take the problems that commandos do have, and they make that worse by making them more expensive. But they don't get enough back to like make it a better unit.
The fact that they're 15 points more, right?
Yeah,
I think that's insane. They should be 5 points more, like maybe tops. I think 5 maybe 6 or 7 if you really want to push it.
I think that you could. I think you could have them be 7 points more, and then I think that would be good because then people would take them more often. It's like the same argument that you hear about why the named characters should be cheaper.
Yeah.
And like I think that considering the fact that Delta Squad is literally the reason why clone commandos exist in
Right?
the fiction,
Yeah.
is because there was a video game about Delta Squad, and then people liked them so much that they started dreaming about, well, are there more than that? Because like
Yeah.
that would be awesome. Yeah, so it's tough, but I think the middle of C is where I put them.
Clone Commander should be 85 and Delta should be like 92. I think
that makes sense to me. I'm gonna save this one because I want to save.
I
This
love the
for
picture
later.
you picked.
I found a really good picture for that one.
Yeah, you did.
Let's keep talking about elite clone units. Bad Batch. Mike, I gave you the floor. You're about to say something that will make people question your judgment.
Well,
probably.
They're not going in S tier, which I think a lot of people will be.
A lot of people would put them in there. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So I think the Bad Batch is low A, high B. And
I'm gonna put them in low A.
That's fine. I'm willing
pretty
to.
lonely right now.
Yeah, that's fair. So Bad Batch has a lot of. Don't get me wrong. If Bad Batch is hale and hearty for 5 turns, that unit's pretty good.
They will kill more than it's worth.
Yes, if they're hale and hearty. Yes. If you lose Wrecker on turn 1 or turn 2, which is completely possible.
I did it to somebody in this tournament. It was mean, with Grievous.
Bad Batch turns into a unit that is formidable, into a unit that is really not worth 160 points very quickly.
Yeah.
And the issue with Bad Batch is that unlike other expensive models that like take up this slot, once they take 3 wounds, their efficacy goes way down.
Way down.
Way down. And in a way that like you're like, oh, it's a 10 health unit, they're very durable. That's very true, but like comparing Bad Batch to like the Super 5 squad, I take a Super 5 squad over Bad Batch like every time. It is way more durability. I guess it's not like way more, but it's what? 12 health instead of 10.
Yeah.
You're still generally surging to block. It is just feels like it does way more damage. Being not like neutered in melee is like huge, because if your Bad Batch gets meleeed, you're like, oh, well, I guess my Bad Batch sucks.
Because Wrecker is almost always dead by that point anyway. And then you're just really doing nothing if Wrecker's dead in melee.
And you kind of have to have Wrecker die first, otherwise it's 2 wounds to make this unit like pretty rough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, I love Bad Batch when you can keep them on the table and all 5 of them in play. Once they start coming up off the board, the unit gets so bad. And not to mention that I think that they also kind of require Rex. I'm not going to say that it's a hard requirement, but the amount of times that I've seen people play Bad Batch in Republic without Rex is like really close to 0.
They usually have Rex. Sometimes they'll have Yoda, but I honestly, in those lists, if they had Yoda, then they should probably also have Rex.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like most of the good ones like have both of those things in them, right?
Yeah.
And so we're not only talking about a unit that unfortunately on its own takes a couple wounds and loses a lot of its effectiveness, but it also kind of requires support from 1 or 2 other units, even though it's supposed to be like doing things on its own. And not, and like the whole point of Bad Batch is that it's not supposed to require support. So that's my spiel on Bad Batch.
That said, as a late round 1, assuming you have a way to get it to like your opponent's weak side to bully it, it is really, really good for that.
It is, although it maybe more than any other unit in Republic really suffers from the fact that we basically never go last.
Yeah, that much is true. So there's going to be not very many situations where Bad Batch would be able to be safe from a response. Like and that's the thing, right? Is that I just talked about the example where I killed Wrecker with Grievous on round 1.
Yeah.
You know, with Grievous out there, I feel like I would be terrified to deploy this guy like at all.
and often, like, you're lucky if they're just going once after you, right? Like, it's pretty hard to play standing orders as a Republic player on turn 1.
That's fair.
I would love to, but it's generally tough to not play a 3-pip because A, you need the order control, and B, you generally are like getting tokens and stuff from it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times you might have priority and also be down on activations. So they're like going at least 2 times after you go. So it's like pretty easy to like lose a guy out of Bad Batch if you are in any way, shape, or form aggressive with them, which makes them, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all that said, I think bottom bay is a good place to put them.
I mean, there's still top 5 Republic units that we've talked about. Like, with all that being said.
All right, Mike, marksman. Where would you've been talking about them a lot lately. You've used them as sort of the measuring point against which you compare many other Republic units. So where would you put the marksman?
Yeah, I would put them in A, right below Bad Batch. I think that they have enabled Republic lists to do a bunch of new things that are very different and were basically impossible before. I think that I would like to reserve the right to shift them down to B at a later date. Because I'm still not completely sold on prepared positions. I have been messing around a lot lately with having Rex and actually scouting partying the marksman.
Interesting.
Just
to keep them safe?
Just to keep them safe, because a lot of the lists that I've been messing around with have actually only had like 1 or 2 in them, and then once we're in the like 1 or 2 territory, I'm like feeling
then they are vulnerable.
A lot less good about starting them on the table. So I've also been like just messing around with like giving them recon intel in that situation, but that kind of like makes them not points efficient.
Yeah,
so
that feels
it's like a weird situation. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the thing that I am struggling with.
Put Boyle in one, he gets got 1 from that.
Yeah,
but extra dice out of it.
Unfortunately, because of the way Guardian works, like he's like really not great in a marksman unit.
Oh yeah, he wants surge tokens.
He wants surge tokens. I agree. I definitely had considered that. But I don't know. I think particularly with the what we now have another objective that like wants you to go really wide, and I think the prepared position units kind of get worse in that situation. Like they're great on like bunker assault, where you're like, yeah, I mean, I know where I'm going to put my guys, but if we're playing outflank, I'm less sold on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so you think middle of A tier?
I was as A tier, like under Bad Batch.
Okay, so like close to the bottom. Okay, I think that's fair. All right, we have. Hey, I had to literally just add this in there because I don't know how this happened, Mike, but I forgot about ARF troopers.
How could you ever
for a second?
That,
so let's talk about ARF troopers. They need to be cheaper. They don't do enough for what they cost, and I know that you've tried them out a lot. But that they just need to be cheaper, and I think I want to just put them at the top of like D tier.
Yeah, I think top of D tier is fine. Again, I think they're about as effective as a lat is kind of how I would talk about them. And frankly, if I had to pick between taking a lat and taking ARF troopers, I would take ARF troopers 10 out of 10 times. Just so we're clear. Yeah. That's how the ARF trooper unit is with the duo and the rocket launcher is roughly the same cost as the lat with the ordnance, and
Its dice will go down as it takes damage, though.
sure, but they're also like, I don't know, have low profile. They're like way away from everything. They can like stand on a back point and like not be threatening, where they're sharing your surge tokens. Like, they have a surge token of their own through the duo. I'm not saying they're good.
Yeah, well,
but
yeah, definitely not.
But like also be with uncumbersome, they're also like much more reasonable to take the like rocket.
They're more reasonable with uncumbersome for sure. Like, but before, when they had the scout move and like their only heavy is the rocket launcher, it was just like, ugh. But yeah, I mean, I think when they're cheaper, they will have a place.
Yeah, I think the ARF Trooper base unit probably should be like 52.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them making it.
I think they should be marginally more expensive than marksmen.
Yeah,
but
I
not by
right.
much.
Not by much. Yeah, because they don't come with any tokens of their own, and neither do marksmen. So you're sort of like,
you get
comparing
scout
like
for
to
free.
Like there. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty good.
But that's like it.
Yeah. Okay, let's do all the mercenary talk up front, because I want to save the spiciest one for the end. I think it might be the spiciest one. Sure. First of all, Hondo, you've had some experience with Hondo and Republic list. Where would you put him?
D tier probably. I don't think he's unfortunately just like not what you want to be doing with your command cards.
Yeah,
being able to like share the tokens that he gives, that's okay, but it's whatever.
It seems like he's fun and that he lives a while and that he can be good against opposing like Jedi units, especially to just like tie them up, and he's like pretty difficult to kill if you can't shoot at him. But yeah, the token generation is like not quite enough to really make it super worth it. And so I think D tier makes sense. The swoop bike. If there is a way to get like, ironically, if there is a way to get order control on these without making them terrible, then I would like them a lot more. But and then also, if there is a way to run 3 of them, then I would like them a lot more. And neither of those things are true.
Slam them in riot control. I'm going to put him in riot control squad. Swoop bikes in a Republic list ever.
I have like once.
To the point where I don't even think swoop bikes should have Republic on their mercenary.
I don't know why they do. I feel like they did that to be like, the bad guys got black suns, so let's give swoop to good guys? ? I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty decent unit, but in Republic, I feel like it doesn't quite fit, and basically never has. Unlike the pikes, which used to have a very good fit, now it doesn't. I'm gonna put them behind swoops.
I don't think that's true. I think they go in D tier.
Okay.
I do think that pike foot soldiers specifically, they are technically the cheapest unit you can take in Republic. And for that reason, I do think that they have some viability. Most of that viability has been taken away by marksman. Yeah. But there's still 10 points cheaper than marksman if you're taking stuff naked. I think that there will still be some lists that run them. I don't think the answer
when you take in naked pikes, though, it's such a liability from a courage standpoint.
It is, but it's like one of those things where like you're just trying to pad your activations, and man, it's not good. But I don't think it's riot control level.
All right, that's fine. They're certainly better than Wookiees.
I mean, I'm sure this is one place where I know Brian Bear would agree with me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Bottom of D, I think, is good enough. Okay, unless I'm mistaken, we have reached almost the end of the Republic units. And then I found this very fun picture of a bunch of goofy looking generic Jedi bros. And I think they will basically pile in just like we did with the super attack, we'll pile them both into the same talk. And I am dying to know, Michael, where you would put the generic Jedi on a Republic tier list.
I kind of want to split these into two, and not into Commander and Operative, but into Guardian and non-Guardian.
Okay.
We
start
don't have to
talking,
do
and
that.
I will do a live adjustment here.
The Guardian double-bladed configuration, I think, is in the scope of B tier. I think it's fine. I think it's like, it's cheap. It's not, it is like a cheaper version of Ahsoka. It's basically what it is. It does some damage. Is it great? No. Is it defensible to put it in your list? I guess.
It's fine. I agree with you. I have been very whelmed by even the Guardian version of these because they and I thought that I was going to be something more than whelmed. I never thought I was going to be impressed. But I thought that they were going to be like an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But and you know, they are a choice, but I think that they're like fine, and that they will fit sometimes into certain lists, and that it might be the option that like works for you. But I agree that B tier would be where I put them.
Everything else is Riot Control Squad. These units are God tier awful. I would put Kashyyyk defenders with bowcasters in my list before I put these things in my list. They are trash. These are so far off the mark. I've been playing a lot of Tours of Duty. We have a bunch of Republic players in my store, and they don't do anything. They literally do nothing. Like, they have no impact on the game state whatsoever. It is atrocious. It is the fact that you're being asked to pay like 100-point units. I'm not sure I would pay 70 points for these units. They're just so bad. I don't know what else to say. The General of the Republic like has some utility, which is nice.
Like,
it's nice to be able to hand a commando and trigger like an order and trigger target, but like it's just not. They don't do any damage. They do 0 damage. It's like, what? Like, even if you give them the double bladed, it's like 2 pierce 1. It's like, nice, man, you did real good. You are my 100-point Jedi. That, you know, we're talking Asajj prices.
Yeah, and I ran into a consular the other day, and it saber threw me a couple times. It did like it killed. It like helped kill my super attack, but
like, it was. I'm sure if it had been any other unit, it probably wouldn't have helped kill your super attack. It just would have done it. You know, like. Yeah, and if it had been any other Jedi, that certainly would have been true. And even any other, like, not terribly good, like, pricey Jedi, right? Like, we're talking, like, the 100 to 120 tier Jedi. We're not talking the Anakins and Vaders. Yeah, they're just bad.
They're bad. And,
hard miss.
They're unfortunate. So just to recap, I was going to put them. I want R2D2 to be in charge of the Riot Control Squad, and then I'm going to put the Jedi right below them. And then the Guardian version, I put like, you want to do like bottom of B tier?
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel like infantry are better than Guardians are.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, like, I definitely would I think consider a Guardian over putting an Anakin in my list right now.
I think that's actually true most of the time, just from a cost benefit perspective.
Yeah, they're like not that different.
I mean, they're very different from a damage output perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're that much different, to be honest.
If you include Tempted and Anakin's 1 pip, that's what like really swings it.
It
right?
Definitely is the thing that amps it up. But I think like if you take away his command cards and Tempted, like I don't think they're that different.
Oh yeah, well there it would be not that big a difference. So that doesn't make so. Let's see. My 3 predictions that I had for you when we started all this.
I'm gonna just claim, so we're clear, he hasn't told me these in advance.
Yeah, I have not told this in advance. I think only one of them came true, and it only sort of like technically came true. So my first prediction was Mike will put Anakin in D tier. I was one off there. My second one was that Mike will be a jerk about Fluttercraft. You actually weren't. You were pretty nice about it. But I think that my spiciest prediction, and the one that I'm going to like defend on, because this only didn't happen because of a weird technicality we did where we made a fake division for a unit that exists in a different capacity, is that my main prediction for this, the thing that inspired this, was that we would end this tier list with 0 in S. And we were close to doing that. We had to split apart infantry into charge and not charge. If we took the average of those, so if we like did infantry as like one single thing, it probably would have been like high B, low A or something.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
So I'm going to claim victory on that one. There's nothing in GAR that gets to the point of, and this is like a good thing, that there's nothing that feels like it is game breaking in any way.
Right
but
now.
When we compare it to, like, we just did the CIS tier list, and we were like, there was no question about Wheeled by Grievous. Yeah, he's S tier. Dooku, he's still S tier. Aquadroids, they're still S tier. Kalani, still S tier. Like those, and then the super attack, like we've already talked about it a billion times. Like they break the rules. And of those, I think really it's only like Grievous and the super attack that are breaking the rules in ways that are actually sometimes making the game unfun for certain players these days. But they do special things. And Yoda, I think, Yoda and Obi-Wan are the ones that come closest to doing that in Republic. But they're significantly expensive, and so you pay for it, and you do have to build your list around them, and they limit your command cards, which we talked about all those things.
They limit your command cards. You also have to buy expensive upgrades for them.
Not Obi-Wan so much.
Sure, not Obi-Wan, yeah. But Yoda and to some extent Anakin, like it's tough to justify leaving Force Push behind, but like it's so expensive. It increases their price by 33% basically. Which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think.
Boy, it's really funny to see, considering where she started, Padme in A tier. But like a points cut really does make that much of a difference sometimes.
It does, and I think this really speaks to some of the things that, like, when I list Build the Republic, I'm like, where do I start? This list kind of like is this is where I start. I start with the charging core units, and then you either pick Kenobi or Yoda, and you go from there.
Yeah. I'm sure that there will be many thoughts about this, and we look forward to hearing them. And I didn't mention this at the beginning, but I'm gonna do a giveaway for every week for the people that comment on this one. For this one, I think it's gonna be I'm trying to think of what I have extra of. Yeah, it's gonna be Clone Commander Cody, who is, some would say, the best named clone commander in the Republic right now, and features in the new Battle Force. So I will give one of the commenters a Clone Commander Cody. So just go ahead and leave your comments. And there wasn't anything where Mike and I had big disagreements on this time. So it's not, but I'm sure there's going to be people, Mike, who are going to say, what? Anakin has ruined my day so many times. Tempted is busted. He's S tier. Or
I mean, there's nothing fun about playing against Tempted. Like that's not an
that's
enjoyable
like a different
experience.
question. You're right. You're right.
Right? Like, but is it absolutely game-breaking bonkers? I mean, I think at one point in the game, in 2.6, it was. But I'd like to go out on a limb and say that I think those 501st lists were way less good than people thought they were. I think none of us, maybe y'all, knew how to play 2.6 yet. And I think that there was a large portion of that going around when 501st got the good old Nerf bat. And I think that if we went back in time and say, like, if we loaded that 501st list with all of the points adjustments, it like all the points that it like started the edition with, I don't think it would be an issue right now. That's my hot take.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. And yeah, like I did do the math before we did the interview with the Wills, and the round 1 damage that we have going on right now is actually like significantly more than what 501st was putting out back in the day. So overall, like this is actually kind of even looking. It's just not necessarily like thrilling, but this might be the most sort of like balanced faction. That doesn't mean it's the most fun. And we've talked about
most
the
balanced
various
faction. I don't know about that.
I mean, it is the one that hangs around 50% in the win totals, like the most these days.
By balanced, do you mean against the other factions, not internally? Then
against the other factions, I mean,
okay, sure. I don't think the internal balance is great.
Well, but here we have like this. We have like a bunch of B and C tier stuff, whereas in CIS it was like a bunch of S and A tier stuff.
That's fair. I think a lot of the like upgrade cards and stuff like this does not give a full.
It doesn't
picture
capture a lot
like,
of our Republic
of like the squad leaders and
that's
all
fair.
that shenaniganry. Because like this doesn't include the fact that if we put all the squad leaders on this tier list, 5s and Ahsoka would be up in the S tier, and basically the rest of them would be in riot control.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I guess medics would be like A or B or something. But
yeah, for sure, definitely the best generic squad leader for anybody who's listening. But yeah, so that's Republic. Tell us what you think in the comments, and Mike, let's do a quick round with C3LP to tell us what. Hopefully, it will not give us a Republic unit because we just spent a long time talking about this.
Yeah. So C3LP today has confirmed their compliance with not picking special forces units.
Good job.
And they have picked the 74Z speeder bikes.
Okay. It's getting more variety in there. What did it say about the 74Z?
You know, this is kind of maybe the least inspiring one, and it feels like it's just saying the same stuff, but like changing some of the words here and there.
What?
Yeah, I know.
But it's a generative AI. It's supposed to generate ideas.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. This one particularly is like, eh. So, C3LP wants us to know that their design statement. They teach positioning through pain. They punish poor planning, including your own. And
that is actually maybe the most insightful thing that C3LP has said so far.
Yeah. Developers love them because what if speed was a weapon and also a liability? I don't know why it decided that it had to like throw a missile at the developers, but
wow, take that AMG. Take that FFG,
Will.
I should say.
So
probably a lot of that opinion is based off of the old speeder rules where you could run into a tree and like die.
Yeah.
I missed that. Boy, I missed that. Anyway.
Yeah, they flank objectives, they threaten back lines, they force your opponent to turn around, and sometimes explode gloriously.
Usually explode gloriously, even without the speeder rules.
Yep. Not elite, not subtle, but extremely educational is C3LP's final statement.
You know, I gotta say, this is like the least spicy that C3 of LP has ever been, which means that it's the most accurate that it's ever been. Even when you aren't taking damage from running into a building that's too tall, I should say. Speeder bikes are, Empire is one of the more popular factions, and they're not in the core set anymore. So it's, I guess it remains to be seen whether they're going to show up in the Blizzard Force box that's going to come out.
I don't remember
I don't think that they're actually
them
on there.
yeah.
I feel like they might have replaced them with the probe droids, sort of, in terms of like what comes in that box.
Which makes sense.
It makes more sense than speeder bikes ever did.
Yeah.
But I do see. I feel like it's often the first lesson in you can't treat speeders like any other unit in the game to a lot of players, where they will sort of like do speed 3 moves directly at the opponent and then get a decent attack roll off, or they'll like do a move aim shoot with a decent-ish dice pool, maybe get a couple of wounds on a trooper unit, and then 2 shots later the speeder bike does not exist on the world anymore. So they are instructive. It's like speeders are okay, Mike, are Imperial speeder bikes the worst speeder in the game? And they're not terrible, but I think that despite not being terrible, I think that they're actually still the worst. But what do you think?
I mean, I think they're pretty bad.
Fair enough. We'll do that tier list in 2 episodes.
Yeah. I think. Wow. I don't know. Are we considering the T-47 in this equation? Is that a speeder unit in your terms?
I mean, it is. So they are fighting with each other for the bottom slot, I think.
Yeah, I think like
at least the T-47 is not going to get wiped off with like a couple little piddly shots.
I think those things are roughly equivalent to each other, but the T-47 is like twice as expensive.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, and honestly, like their damage output isn't really that different.
It's not that much better. Yeah, maybe you're right. But yeah, the thing of I am so spoiled because I've been playing a bunch of staffs, and that staffs very rarely don't have orders on them. And so for a speeder list, like having order control is worth its weight in gold. I wish that the combination of HQ uplink and strike and fade was actually like 5 points cheaper in terms of what it does, because I've talked about it before, but that it basically gives you access to just like keep face-up orders on speeders, which ends up being super duper important, while not sacrificing all that much efficiency. But yeah, and they're still good in Blizzard Force. They're decent in Blizzard Force.
Hot take real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to preface this with, I really like new upgrade cards. Please keep giving them to us. I think the concept of fixing units with things that you have to pay more for is terrible. And I think that is played out in what we've seen, in that basically none of the upgrade cards that were like intended to like fix anything has really done the job that it was supposed to do, with
this
maybe
not a discussion for a quick C3LP.
with maybe the exception of Imperial
March, which is faction exclusive.
Yes. And frankly, the only reason it's good is because it can go on Snow Troopers.
It's best because of Snow Troopers and not for the
reasons that it was supposed to.
The riot control squad that it was sort of created for.
Yeah, I think
it's fine on them, but it's best on Snow Troopers.
Yeah. I don't think that approach is working. Or at least it isn't right now. Maybe that's because those upgrade cards are too expensive. But I think at the end of the day, if you take something that's like not working and then be like, hey, you can make it work, but you have to pay for it, like that doesn't really make a ton of sense.
It's a weird situation where like Strike and Fade was being experimented with a lot when it first came out, with Imperial speeder bikes, especially in both Tempest and Blizzard Force.
Yeah,
is where I was seeing it a lot. And I did some league play with the Tempest Force list that was triple speeder, triple ST, and I had Strike and Fade on all of them. in combination with the Scout 2 that they all got, like it actually ended up being pretty darn good for being able to do round 1 damage and then actually get away.
But are you playing it still, Evan?
No, I did it for League, and I think that was a part of a list that is now, like, I think fairly average in the grand scheme of things. We'll obviously be talking more about this when we do Empire tier list, but it turns out that for like the list where speeders have been really, really shining lately, they don't need, over in Europe, they have been doing strike and fade, which I can see the argument for it, but like the stab list doesn't actually even need it because it has that order control and because it has access to a lot of free tokens from various means. The Empire speeder bag doesn't have either of those things, and it suffers as a result. In Blizzard Force, you can make your order token pool more favorable to speeder play if you pile 4 of them into a list. Yep. That ain't what it used to be. And so, yeah, like it. I wish that there was a way, and I think Strike and Fade was an attempt at that. But I think that Empire would need some kind of a commander that could reliably get them face-up orders in some way with like multiple different commands. Maybe General Tage will be that. I kind of doubt it.
I feel like that would be a weird unit for that to be. Like, if Tag ends up being the like vehicle commander instead of Veers, like that would be really weird.
I think the distinction could be that Tag would be like a speeder bike guy, and Veers is obviously like he has the guidance ground vehicle. Sure. It's when we mentioned his command cards earlier. That's like sort of it in terms of synergy. But yeah, I think that they need something else. And I thought that Strike and Fade was going to be it. Maybe Strike and Fade in combination with just like another points cut, another points cut on Imperial speeder bikes could put them in the place where, because if they're in the bark zone for cost, then I think that there is something to it.
Sure. Yeah, like if they were, what are they now? 70?
So if they were 65, then they would be 5 more than a bark, but
6 because for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's right, 59. 6 more than a bark, but with significantly better attack dice and obviously like a little bit less defense, but not like all that much in the grand scheme of things. And they would degrade, but
the degradation is the big thing, right? It's
yeah,
like, as soon as you lose one speeder bike, the unit is.
You have no speeder bikes from an attack dice perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even the stabs, like with critical 1, can still like get stuff done with a single stab. But yeah, the impact one is definitely not the same.
No.
But yeah, I think that 65-point Imperial speeder bikes would actually be a decent consideration in more swarmy Empire lists. That's all I got to say about that. Anything else about speeder bikes from your perspective, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're very fragile, and
yeah,
I think fragile is a tough place to be in the new version of the game. And I don't think if the last couple months have demonstrated anything, it is more of a liability now than it was 3 months ago. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when you only need to get 3 wounds past cover 1 to take away its functional attack dice, like that's pretty rough.
It's like better not get shot ever.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's, and that was also true back in the Blizzard Force days, but you were able to give them heavy cover, and then cover was taking away a attack dice every single time instead of basically never when it's cover 1 these days. So it made a big difference.
You also like didn't need them to contest objectives where they had to get up in your opponent's grill immediately.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Too.
Like that's
true.
That's
too.
a big portion of this is that like the game as it stands forces you to use your speeder bikes as scoring units, which on one hand it's like nice because they're flexible, but on the other hand it's like, this is how my speeders get killed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so.
All right. Well, we'll see what C3LP brings us next time. Next week, we're going to have Brian Bear on. We'll do Rebel tier lists, and who knows what other toxicity we're going to be just like unleashing on the world when he's here. But looking forward to that.
I wonder what units will make S tier and Rebels.
Well, we're gonna be able to put him on the spot because because Tristan's Rebel list had Commander Luke on it, and I'm gonna be really curious about whether he's willing to budge. I know that you won't be, but I'm gonna be curious whether he's willing to budge in the Commander Luke opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, so we got that coming, and other than that, we will see you on the next Notorious Scoundrels. How do we land the plane, Mike?
Yeah, this has been the Notorious Scoundrels Season 4, Episode 45. I'm Mike.
I'm Evan.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.